大家好, I'm Peng Peng. Today, we are going to retell the whole story in English. How can you do that? Well, I'm going to share with you a very useful structure with which you will be able to have a better understanding of the story. What's more, with the structure, hopefully, you will be able to create your own stories. Let's get started. Let me begin by asking you several questions. What's the main event in the story of Yang Yang? What happened before the main event? What happened during the main event? What happened after the main event? If you're able to answer these 4 questions, you can definitely have a clear picture of the whole story. 在这里，我想引出今天要讲的结构。要想更好地复述一个故事，第一步就是要想想 the main event 主要事件。整个故事都是围绕这个主要事件进行展开的。我们这个故事的主要事件是什么呀？对了，就在我们故事的题目中 ，taking a high-speed train trip。第二步，用上 BDA 结构，添加细节。B stands for before。当我们要讲述一个故事的时候，可以先谈一下这件事之前的相关细节 ，details before the main event。D stands for during。接下来着重讲解 details during the event。这个过程是故事最精彩的部分，尽可能包含一些亮点 shining points。A stands for after。最后就是 details after the event， 可以谈谈感受或者任何和故事相关的延伸细节。In order to organize all the information better, I give you a useful chart. Now, let's go back to the story of Yang Yang. The main event is taking a high-speed train trip. Let's have a look at the B, before the trip. What happened before they went on the trip? Can you recall some keywords related to this? I'll give you some. Parents, busy, Saturday morning. Yang Yang's parents were usually very busy at work, so they had never before agreed to his request to travel on a high-speed train. But this time, they did. Just as the sky was brightening on Saturday morning, Yang Yang and his family shouldered their traveling bags and left their home. Besides, they had a plan or an itinerary, 旅行日程. Here are some keywords about it. 北京, 天津, Shanghai, 北京. Let's put them all together and see what their plan was. They were to take a high-speed train from Beijing to Tianjin. Then they were to take another one from Tianjin to Shanghai. The following day, they were to return to Beijing on another high-speed train. In the short time of 2 days, they would travel 2,000 kilometers there and back. Next, let's take a look at the D, during the trip. Can you recall some details about what they did or where they went during the trip? The details are all included in the answers to the following 3 questions. What did the high-speed train look like to Yang Yang? What experiment did they observe on the train? What did they do in Tianjin and Shanghai? Let's have a look at question 1. What did the high-speed train look like to Yang Yang? Mother, father, and Yang Yang soon arrived at Beijing South Railway Station. Father asked, Yang Yang, that is a high-speed train. What does it look like to you? Yang Yang replied, it looks like a big white shark or a spaceship. Pleased, father said, It not only looks like a spaceship, it has a special speed. It is the fastest train in the world. It only takes 30 minutes to travel from Beijing to Tianjin. Now, let's turn to question 2. What experiment did they observe on the train? Does the picture remind you of the details of the experiment? On board the high-speed train, Yang and his parents observed a small experiment. On the small table in front of them was a glass full of water. But from the time the train started until it reached its destination, not a drop was spilled. This led mother to remark that the high-speed train was both fast and stable. 这其实就是故事的亮点之一 ，one of the shining points， 是故事中比较有意思的点，吸引读者继续往下读。Question 3. What did they do in Tianjin and Shanghai? Let's take a look at some pictures related to this. These pictures show us what they did in Tianjin. In Tianjin, Yang played in the amusement park and enjoyed tasting the famous local snacks known as 狗不理包子 and 大麻花. What did they do in Shanghai? After lunch, the family boarded a high-speed train again and arrived in Shanghai the same evening. The following morning, Yang went with his parents to Disneyland and sampled famous snacks at the City God Temple of Shanghai. In the afternoon, they boarded another high-speed train at Shanghai Hongqiao Station. At 7 o'clock in the evening, they arrived back at their home in Beijing. 以上就是旅途中的主要事件的相关细节。他们2天的旅程紧凑，但是很充实。They had a good time. Finally, it's time for the A. After the trip. After the trip, Father told Yang more details about the high-speed trains in China. Father said to him, Yang, do you know that in the past 2 days, we took the Jingjing, Beijing to Tianjin intercity high-speed train and the Jinghu, Beijing to Shanghai intercity high-speed train? The Jingjing high-speed train was the first one designed and made entirely by our country, and the Jinghu is well known as the farthest and fastest of any high-speed train in the world. Father spoke highly of China's high-speed trains. So did Mother. Mother said, smiling, China's high-speed trains are the best in the world, and our country is going to build many more high-speed rail tracks and help foreign friends build them too. 听到此，洋作何反应呢？洋 threw up his hands in excitement and, giving his mother a 5, said, Mama, next time let us take a trip abroad by high-speed train. His parents laughed heartily. Yang and his parents wound up their high-speed train trip with cheerful chatter. 以上就是这个故事的基本脉络，我们一起复习一下，把刚刚的一些关键信息填充到我们的 BDA 表格中。As for the before part, we have keywords like 1. Parents, busy, Saturday morning. 2. An itinerary, 北京、天津、上海、北京。When it comes to the during part, we just need to answer 3 questions. 1. What did the high-speed train look like to Yang? 2. What experiment did they observe on the train? 3. What did they do in Tianjin and Shanghai? Finally, as for the after part, we have more details about China's high-speed trains from father and mother's perspectives. 1. The Jingjing high-speed train, the first one. 2. The Jinghu high-speed train, the farthest and fastest. 3. The best in the world, building many more rail tracks. Okay, next, we are going to put what we've learned into practice. I'd like you to create your own stories by using today's structure, the BDA structure. I will give you more guidance. Now, we're going to use the BDA structure to tell our own stories. However, what kind of stories are we going to tell? Well, let's think for a moment about what this story is really about. It is a story designed to show off one of China's great engineering achievements by showing how an ordinary family experienced it. So why don't you choose a great icon of Chinese ingenuity, whether that be a great engineering project like the Three Georges Dam, or maybe a great work of architecture like the Pearl Tower in Shanghai, or maybe just some impressive building in your own local area. The focus of the story should be on how an ordinary person or child or family experienced that particular place or location. Choosing somewhere famous would be okay, but it might be fun to write about somewhere from your local area that many people may have never heard of. In that way, you can use a story to try to reveal an interesting building or piece of infrastructure to people who have never visited your hometown. In the story, you should try to use the BDA structure. In the B, before part of the story, first, describe the setting. Let us understand a bit more about your characters. Try to tell us a little bit about their personality and their relationship to each other. Then, you should try to explain the background behind how they came to visit that place. In the D, during part of the story, describe what it was like visiting the place. Try to see how the place would appear to your own characters. For example, if your main character is a child, try to see the place from their point of view. Finally, in the A, after, try to talk about how the visit affected the characters. How did it make them feel, and how did it influence their lives? Good luck with your writing. Okay, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this class. Bye for now.